Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Cedric Bailey, and I tell you what, I would like to introduce to you, our listeners and our friends, to Miss Christal Johnson. Hey, Christal, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Cedric.
Well, I've been telling everybody we were going to talk about financial services, and I tell you what, I'm glad I caught up with you. I've been talking to some friends of mine, and they have been dealing with some challenges,
hmm
specifically when losing loved ones and the financial status that happens when they lose their family. They might have had some debt out there, might have had a home that needed to be sold, or they took out a loan and bought some land, or they bought a home.
hmm
They still have the financial responsibility, and the banks will go as far as trying to repossess or take over what you signed, what your parents or your family member signed an agreement on. Is that about right? Have you heard of those stories?
Unfortunately, Cedric, I've heard plenty of those stories, and that's why I make sure, I tell people, please leave your family a will and not a bill. Make sure you get your affairs in order so they don't have to get ready, but you always have to be ready.
Well, I was told that you're a licensed financial consultant and you focus on three things. So just give us a little brief story or a little background on you, Crystal Johnson. I see that you're a doctor too, as well.
Yes, so I am a professor by trade, right? And I was a professor for about 15 years. Really enjoyed what I did, but what I didn't enjoy, Cedric, was working 70 hours a week, but only getting paid for 40. You know how salary goes, right? I said I'm no mathematician, but this math is not mathing. So I asked God to open up an opportunity for me to do something that I really love, which is educating people, but it had to be something where I needed the time and freedom I deserve. And I
Mm.
so happened to talk to a lady at my church, and she's a financial consultant. She told me about being a financial consultant. I said, I've never done it, but finances make sense to my community. So, I said, let me see how it goes. And I resigned from my position at Syracuse University and said yes to this opportunity to make sure that my community and my family are financially free.
Well, in Syracuse University, that's in New York. So you stepped
Yes.
out on faith on that one. So it looks like God is doing some great things for you, Crystal.
Yes, he is. Absolutely. Yes. So upstate New York with a lot of cold, a lot of snow.
All right. Well, let's talk about financial literacy as our first part. You educate people about how money works. How does it work?
So yes, and so I always say, how do you, play a game when you don't know the rules? And so it's so important. You know what, Cedric? I found there are three reasons why most people fail financially. I noticed that either they fail because they don't have financial literacy, financial education, or they do not have a plan for their financial success, or they don't have accountability. So those three things are very important when it comes to being financial literate. Making sure, number one, you're talking to someone who is licensed and qualified, right? I understand in our community we say, well, this is what Big Mama told us, right? And the younger people are saying, this is what I heard on TikTok and this is what I heard on YouTube. No, make sure you find a qualified licensed person to have a conversation with, to not just tell you information, but to educate you, and after they educate you, put a plan in place that works for your financial goals, and then they should hold you accountable to those goals. So that's what it means to be financially literate.
Now, how do you play the game when you don't know the rules, Crystal?
You can't. You lose every time.
Okay.
Right? You lose every time. And so that's why I just thank God for him allowing me this avenue to make sure I show our community the rules to the game so they can win.
Well, and as a matter of fact, you made me think about something. There's a game that we all played growing up, some still do, in the game of Monopoly. You start off with money, and you
hmm
got to go to certain parts of the board and go around, and you can buy the property. If you don't, you just keep on going, and you get $200 as you go. Can we kind of compare that to this? Because if you look at it, that's using a GPS or so. And I want to know, providing a GPS for your finances. How does that work?
Yeah, so think about like when you don't know where you're going, in a car and you have to get to a destination. We put on our GPS system, right? Old school, use the map, an atlas, but we use some type of device technology at that time to help us to get to a point that we had, a destination we were not aware of, right? So it is with your finances. A lot of us want to be financially free, but we don't know how to get there. We're putting our own plan in place. And the thing is, if you don't know how to get to someplace, you got to, get knowledge that, you're not privy to and get a specialist to do that. And so that's what I do. Putting a GPS in place, meaning you use the financial knowledge of a licensed person to give you the instruction to get you from where you're at to where you need to go. And the thing is, Cedric, if you notice, when we get our paycheck, the paycheck has a lot of deductions, but have no instructions on how to be financially free. And so that's what I do. Give you a plan to get to your financial goals.
I love it. And by the way, I had to get my phone out right now because the question is, man, I need to know how I can reach this sister right now. So for those who can't wait, how do they get in contact with you and find you?
Yeah, so my number is 202-643-6810. That's 202-643-6810. Or you may contact me through my website, CrystalJConsulting.com. That's spelled ChristalJ Consulting.com.
Gotcha. All right, now let me go back to my next part of my question because you know the market has changed when it comes to purchasing a home now. I mean, like for example, I remember just golly back in 2017, you could live like in Texas in a certain area for about $700 or $800 for a two bedroom, or pay $1,000 for a three bedroom. Well, that property now that you're renting has doubled, and getting a house you're gonna pay almost $2,000 for that home. So we need to talk about building a strong financial house so that we can keep the home that we live in and deal with budgeting and eliminating debt. Talk to me on that.
Yes, and so a lot of times when I, sit with people, the first thing I ask them, what are your financial goals? And a lot of times, Cedric, many people say, I want to purchase a house, which I think is a commendable goal. However, it's one thing to purchase a house, like you said, it's another thing to stay in the house, right? And to keep, get the house and keep the house. And they tell me, my realtor told me there's these first time home buyer, grants and all of that. And I said, again, I think that's commendable, but we have to make sure you can stay in that house, right? And it's just alarming the rate of people that go into foreclosure because they did not have the financial knowledge or the plan in place. So, what you should do, and what I do with my clients, I put a plan in place to make sure that they have the money to stay in the house. So, what I do, make sure, put them on a budget as if they're living in the house,
Wow.
right? To make sure that they understand so they don't have culture shock, right? Money shock when they get it. Also, make sure they have built up an emergency fund because it's not if, Cedric, it is when something happens, right? As you know, something always happening with the house, right? So just making sure they're budgeting and also eliminate as much debt as possible to free up that money to make sure they can pay for that house.
That's right, because you got to deal with property taxes and all those other different types of taxes that goes in there, and you got to be able to make sure you have a budget. Now, here's the ultimate question: everybody wants to work hard, but then you got to plan to retirement. So, what do you know? What can you do to help individuals when it comes to retirement planning?
And so that is a great question. And so one thing that everyone should know that retirement is an income and not an age. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to retire at 60, I want to retire at 70." No, the question is, how much money do I need to retire? And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't able to retire. And so I see a lot of people who will quit a job and find out they don't have enough money to retire, right? And go get another job. So what's important to know is number one, to know your FIN number. FIN, that stands for Financial Independence Number. Everybody needs to know how much money do I need so I never have to work for a dollar again, right? And so it's important to do analysis, a financial needs analysis to see how much money do I need to retire, my FIN number, how much money do I have now, and then how much money I need to be saving every single month to get to that retirement um, fin number. Now, I also want you to know that don't think it is too late, right? Too late is when you're dead, right? So, some people start later than others, but my thing is to start. Talk to someone. And if you don't have, a representative to talk, a licensed representative, give me a call. Let's put a retirement plan together so you can retire in decency and in order.
I thought my Social Security was going to take care of that.
Oh yeah, Social Security, if it's here, if it's still around, right? But unfortunately, and that's the thing, Cedric. A lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, "Oh, I'm good. I have Social Security." I said, "You know what? That's not guaranteed, right? I know we get statements and they give estimates and projections, but the thing is, we have to make sure that you're prepared in case you get Social Security, in case you don't get Social Security. So again, you also going into retirement and not before retirement and in retirement." I'm glad you brought that up. You have to have multiple streams of income. That is so important. So if you think Social Security is going to be my only way to retire, you should talk to someone because in case that Social Security comes, or if it doesn't, or if it's affected in any way, you have other streams of income, whether it's 401k, your TSP, right? Your Roth IRA, other investments, other real estate, other streams of income to make sure you are retired decency and in order.
Wow, amazing. And plus, you have to get to 62. And then when you do get to 62, you're only going to probably get two-thirds of what you put in. And then you got to get to 67 to be able to get the
Right, 67
amount.
to get full retirement. And that's now, Cedric, but I can see them scaling, keep pushing up to 70, 72. And honestly, they want us to pass away before we access Social
Yeah,
Security. That
yeah.
is the goal, right,
That's the
of government.
mortality table that they say that, if you're going to make it. Wow. Now, my other question is, how do you know that you're getting the right investment and the right type of insurance? I want to talk about two on the right investment and the right type of insurance.
Right. And so the right investment is the one, number one, again, making sure you're talking to a licensed individual. That person has talked to you and asked you what is called suitability questions to make sure they ask you what is the purpose of this money, to make sure they understand, how long will you have to invest this money, to make sure that they ask you in the suitability questions, do you have enough savings where you don't touch this investment, right? So number one, making sure those questions have been asked to make sure that you are investing in the right vehicle. Also, when these going along with that question about the purpose of the money, aligns with the purpose of the money that you need, right? And then additionally, your risk tolerance, right? A lot of people say, I saw on TikTok, I saw on, I saw crypto, I saw Robin. Listen, you can't invest with the headlines or what's popular. You have to invest based upon your risk tolerance, the purpose of the investment, and then how much you have to invest. So the right kind is when those questions are answered, your licensed representative will tell you what the right type of investment is.
All right,
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Dr. Christal Johnson. She is a licensed financial, of course, consultant. And we're going to give out the number and how they can reach you in the website. If you could share that information one more time, Crystal.
I sure can. And before I do that, do you also want me to quickly talk about the right type of life insurance as well?
Yeah, that difference, term or whole, universal. If you could do that, please.
Yes, and so again, I educate first. So there's only two types of life insurances out there: term and cash value. Anything that is not term, it falls under cash value, right? And so I hear a lot of people say, I want the kind that I can borrow from. But again, the purpose of life insurance is to make sure when you pass away, your family is taken care of. And so I say, think about what you're saying. Is borrowing ever a good thing? Right? People say, I want to borrow. I want to no, borrow. That's how we got here, Cedric. Borrowing money and have to repay with interest. So it's also good to know, what is the best way to make sure your family is protected through the right type of life insurance. And that is making sure you are having a conversation with a licensed, educated representative who will help you navigate to which insurance is the best. And also, just to reiterate, my contact information, it is 202 643 6810. That's 202 643 6810. You can also reach me on my website, crystaljconsulting.com. And my first name is spelled Christistel. Consulting. So Crystal J is in Johnson Consulting.com.
All right, got another text in and asking the question. You say term. Well, what is it, a 30-year term? What if I'm 29 or 30 years old and I take this and I get a term? Is it a 30-year term? What if I outlive the term? What happens on that situation?
That is an excellent question, Cedric. And so and it's important to know the history of how the both of the life insurances came about. And so let me first start with cash value. Cash value came about because they wanted to make us think in our community that we need life insurance the rest of our lives. That is not correct. Our family needs money, right? And so people who are in the life insurance industry, and it's no secret, it's dominated by white men. They came into our community and said life insurance is the way to go, right? And the thing is, they said, okay, we want you to get this life insurance to your 100 until you die. Well, here's the thing, Cedric. They did not tell people in our community that the longer a person pays on life insurance, the more commission they get. They did not tell people it takes 3 to 5 years to access that money that they can borrow. They did not tell people that you have to borrow your own money and repay with interest. They also did not tell them we're going to overcharge you, underinsure you for you to only use one of the two things you're paying for. That's how cash value works. And so, what term does, term empowers you to pay for a term or pay for life insurance until you can own it. So, it's actually, renting a policy until you can own it. What do I mean by that? So as you're paying on your term, and you get to select, all right? And it's also based upon your age. So let's say if you have a 20-year term, a 30-year term, what you are also doing is opening up an investment account. So instead of paying extra money for a cash value, you take that extra money they were going to charge you, put that in an investment account, let that money grow, and let that serve as your life insurance money once your term is up. So that again, it's not a life insurance policy your family needs, it's money. And we show you how to be empowered through investments. To make sure you have your life insurance needs. And one other thing I want to mention is that we also have been miseducated about the purpose of insurance. Cedric, I want you to think about your homeowner's insurance. Cedric, did they give you a refund check for never filing a claim?
No,
Think about your car insurance. Did they say, Cedric, your driving has been wonderful? We're going to give you money back for not being in an accident.
no, they don't give me that.
No, right. So why would a life insurance money give you back money, right? And so the purpose of insurance is transferring of risk. So you have to ask yourself, if other insurances do not give me money back, how is this life insurance policy giving me money back? And I'll tell you why. They overcharge you. So all they're really doing is giving you a refund of a third of the money you've paid into it. So again, going back to the question, if you outlive your term, you don't have to worry because if you talk to the right licensed individual, they should set you up with an investment account. And so you'll have money in that investment account that will serve as your life insurance money.
Okay, I got you. That makes sense because you're dealing with like a 401k, a IRA, Roth, or different things like that. And I think, what is it, when you get 59 and a half, you can be able to touch your money and won't be getting penalized. Is that correct?
Yes, now particularly in getting term insurance and getting an investment account, this particular investment account will be non-qualified, meaning it's a non-retirement. So if you have to use it, you can use it without penalty. So
Okay.
when you get a term policy with an investment account, you can use that at any age.
Man, I know we've said a whole lot. So some people that's watching this, you need to save this audio, this video, and share it with your family. That's why I'm posting it on my YouTube channel. As we close out, the most important thing is estate planning. How do you have to get your affairs in order? And then also, what is the importance of will and trust?
And this is so important. I'm telling you, like what you were saying earlier, there's so many people in our community that pass away that do not have their affairs in order. And so, what I don't want people to do is grieving and stressed on how to try to find documents for their loved ones. So, making sure you are building a strong financial house, from making sure you get a will or a trust. And so, I partner with, a company where has a network of attorneys to make sure to see if the will is best for you. And of course, with the will, you have to go through probate court, and that's also publicized. But with the trust, they do not have to go through the probate process. And so also making sure you have some legal document in place, right? And also figuring out which one is best for you. Also making sure that you have life insurance, right? And making sure that you know who is going to have control of your assets. And even a living will is very important as well. Durable power of attorney in case you're incapacitated and can't make decisions on your own. So all of these things are so important in getting your affairs in order, because again, it's not if, but it's when we pass away. And the thing is, Cedric, death is an equal opportunist, whether you're young, whether you're old. So I just, implore people to please get your affairs in order today.
Wow, you said a lot today, and I have so many other questions. We'll have to come back later and continue on, that I have so many that I want to ask, but I want to be fair because I'm still getting texts now. They ask me, man, this is some great information. And so as we close one more time, Dr. Christal Johnson, how can they reach out to you and follow up with you?
Absolutely. And so if you would like to talk to me and do a complimentary consultation, my number is 202-643-6810. That's 202-643-6810. Or through my website, crystaljconsulting.com. And please know that I'm licensed in 17 plus states. So whatever state you live in, give me a call and I'll be happy to help you.
Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You do the same. And thank you, Cedric, for the time.